My name is Stuart Howe, your independent candidate for Parks, and this is my message. Putting to bed your concerns. My fellow Aussies, over years of being told to fear independents holding the balance of power, I think you should now allay those fears. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. I want to first quote from a recent article that's now on your screen from the Gilgandra Weekly, where both the major party members, National Party incumbent, and the opposition Labor candidate, Mr Jack Ayub, were subsequently interviewed. Now, barring an absolute whitewash within all electorates, the result of this 2022 election will have an outcome of one of the majors holding onto a slim margin of power, in my opinion. A bit like saying a game of football has two halves. A silly statement, really, but the question my Parks electors should be asking themselves is, why do people think that if elected as an independent, the offerings of the Labor Party, which were stated, or the offerings in the pipeline from the incumbent, the works promised by the National Party, why do you, the electors, think these important offerings will not be vigorously followed up by this independent if elected? Of course I will pursue the Labor government on the promises of the $10 billion social housing pool made available, or play a huge part in lowering the cost of TAFE courses, or accept part of the $500 million upgrade monies to our nation's school system. Why would I, as the Parks federal member, not want to place pressure on the Labor Party, if they hold government, to ensure they will create 600,000 jobs and bring down power bills by as much as $300 a year? Why would I not wish to see better internet connection in our region's areas, boosting access to the NBN, or rebuilding our manufacturing industries? You'll become aware that I'm not too proud to ask. I'm no shrinking wallflower. I have no need to reject these offerings and more. That's what the major parties do to each other, not what I will do. I, as a true independent, don't have this desire of one-upmanship or desire to be different to what has been duly put on the table. Why would I, and saying that, it is again a given that if I am elected, will complete the already to-go National Party commitments, such as accommodating the need for future responsible town population growth, again support better connectivity to the regions, or again support satellite services or better data rollout. Or better still, why would I not continue to support and make flourish training doctors locally in Dubbo, to make locum relief permanent? Or why would I be against training in more a generalist way to include the areas of mental health? I think you now all get the picture and fully understand where I'm coming from. In short, as an independent, I can run with or support any initiative started by or work to put in place anything that both the major parties are promising in the lead up to this election. Anything, but for the major parties, they can't do this because, why? Much to my dismay, they always wanted to outdo each other, or be the complete opposite to any good idea that the other has. I just say, thank you very much to both of them for now giving this independent candidate more positive community building aspects to work closely with in the future. And I am asked how I'm going to pay for all these goodies. All I have to say is, good question. You may wish to direct that towards the two major parties, or the incumbent and the opposition leader candidate before the election. Because I would imagine that it's all been costed and put somewhere as to where we're going to get this money from. So this is not for me to allay to you. Relay, I should say. I will leave you with this. The power of using leverage is what these major parties do to each other in forcing the other's hand. Well, if the Labor Party wins the election and does not proceed with, say, a proportion of the $10 billion for social housing for the Parks electorate, simply because the Labor Party lost the seat of Parks to an independent, well, then it could be not said that they are just as bad as the current Liberal national governments for the so-called alleged pork barrelling to only their own electorates and ignoring all others. Not a good look, wouldn't you say? So there you have it. This is not an attempt at an attack ad to the two major parties, far from it. It's just reassuring you, the voters, the electors of the Parkes electorate, that if you elect this independent first, that you will not miss out on any of the goodies, any of the commitments that either major party is making up in the lead up to this election. It gives you the best of all worlds. It gives you a lot of food for thought, and it gives you the confidence that whatever's in the pipeline, or whatever's coming down that pipeline, I will ensure that it gets done. So voting for me is not necessarily not voting for what you believe should happen in your township. It's just making good sense that you're allowing a bit of change, because we've had 40 years of the same, and I've got to be wondering what our electorate would look like with that change. Thank you. Written and authorised by Stuart, Howe, New Lambton.